to start, at least officially. I would like to welcome again all of you to the celebration of the second anniversary of the India chapter of the CCLS Alumni. And I would also like to welcome our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Rajiv Luthra. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. It's very pleased to meet you and great to have you with us this afternoon. I will introduce you to our guest speaker, and then I will open the floor to Rajiv, if I may, for him to talk to you about his career. And indeed, what an impressive career. He specializes on corporate structuring and negotiations, has over 25 years of experience in advising clients on a vast range of complex commercial transactions, including infrastructure projects in various countries: India, Sri Lanka, the People's Republic of China, Nepal, and Nigeria. He has successfully handled various disinvestment, privatization, restructuring assignments, and has worked on some of the largest mergers in Indian corporate history. And he has also been appointed by the government of India on the drafting of several rules and regulations. Mr. Rajiv Luthra has been ranked amongst the leading individuals in banking and finance by the Asia Pacific Legal 500, has also featured in the Leaders Profiles, India Project Finance of the Chambers Global, and the World's Leading Lawyers, Chambers and Partners publication. And to his credit, he also has number of publications in various national and international professional journals and magazines. And at this point, I would really need to ask you, how do you find the time to do all these things? It's really a prolific career and a very successful one. I would also like to welcome today Mr. Ajit Mishra, the India Chapter Committee Lead, who will be moderating the discussion. Ajit, great to have you, and thank you very much for acting as a moderator. Without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Rajiv Luthra. The floor is all yours. I will attend, but again, my apologies. I will have to make a move shortly. Thank you very, very much. Good to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Sorry, Ajit, you were saying something?
No, I was just adding my thanks. Please, you continue.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and thank all of you to have me here. This is a real honor. And I'm a North Indian, and North Indians are known to show off. So it's not 25 years, it's 40. Very, very quickly, I'll just briefly tell you a little bit about myself. My father was in the Indian Air Force. So what that means is, especially in the field of law and the level of nepotism that exists there, I have no credentials, no credibility. No lawyer in the family. I'm the first black sheep, as it were. Most of my family members are either government officers, or armed forces, etc. But because I was an Air Force brat, my father used to be transferred all over India. I went to about almost 9 schools during my 11-year school career, and went many cities. So it taught me many languages, many ways to deal with people. So it really opened up my horizons in many ways, if I can say that. And thereafter, I finished my schooling from an Air Force school in Delhi, and decided to do my chartered accountancy. I'm happy to tell you all that I'm the even today, I believe, I'm not 100%, but I believe I'm one of the youngest registered article clerks for the Indian Institute of Chartered Accountants. I was also admitted to King's College in London for my refresher course, and given articles by a firm in London called Coopers and Libran, which is now PricewaterhouseCoopers. But then things happened. Indian government decided to, the British government decided to de-recognize Indian qualified MBBS, so there was a chatter about it. And then that chatter came from the Indian side that we'll de-recognize chartered accountants of England. So I said, there's no point in my doing, and I didn't want to work in England. I wanted to come back to India. So I did, and then I did started my studies for my chartered accountancy in college simultaneously, an article clerk in India. I don't know whether we have any accountants on this call, but I found the most brain-dead activity of my life was auditing. I just couldn't handle it. And because I realized after 7 years of actually auditing that I had really, all I was doing was checking what people do wrong. I had no addition to 1,000 things they do right, no worries. One wrong, and I'm on their head. So I said, I don't want to live the rest of my life like that. So I shifted to, at that time, and we still are, we are allowed rights of audience up to the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, which is equivalent to the Supreme Court of Fact as far as taxes are concerned. So I started, I told you I'm a North Indian, so I'd show off. I built a very successful tax practice on a motorcycle. Some of my earlier clients were Rolls-Royce PLC, BAE Systems now, British Aerospace PLC in those days, Standard Chartered, HSBC, and all kinds of large multinationals that existed in India. India hadn't opened then, please remember. This is in the late 70s, early 80s. I also joined the board of a British company called United Biscuits, or Wimpy Hamburgers, as you might know it. And when they opened their shop, and I like to go way beyond my call of duty, as when they opened their first shop in Connaught Place in New Delhi, I helped them design their first veg burger, which is unheard of in the Wimpy system. And if some of you who are from Delhi will know, I took the main Robert Novell, I still remember his name, this is early 80s. I took him to Bengali market and had the aloo ki tikki there. And that was the first, iteration of that was the first veg burger made when it started a trend. Now it's all over. Thereon, I went on to continue my tax practice, but then I realized that I had no rights of audience to the High Court or the Supreme Court. And a lot of our tax matters, because of various reasons of cover your backside bureaucracy, they would all appeal it. Everything, with great difficulty, I'd win my matters, and then it'd be appealed, and I wouldn't be able to open my mouth. So at the age of 31, I did my law and opened my firm. Never had a senior in my life. Never worked for anybody in my life. I don't know whether it's good or bad. So therefore, I don't have much knowledge, which is a good thing in my view, because I'm not restricted. And opened my law firm in a small place, the same building we are in even today, in Connaught Place, on Barakhamba Road, called Ashoka Estate. 1,500 square feet was my office. And we were a band of about 7 lawyers or 8 lawyers. And a lot of them are still part of the firm. My first 3 employees in the firm are still suffering me. even today, 32 years later. And the timing was actually perfect because when I opened the firm, my knowledge was tax, and I knew business. I knew IRRs, I knew profit and loss accounts, I knew balance sheets, etc. And India opened up in 91. So project finance, infrastructure, all of these things came in. Lawyers weren't sort of trained to even understand what an IRR is, and infrastructure projects and non-recourse projects. It was I was way ahead of the curve. And as I ran my firm, I realized I knew very little law, because those days in India, our curricula was dated, literally going to the Industrial Revolution. We had things like UP land laws, and we had the Criminal Procedure Code of 1876, etc., etc., etc. So then I went on 7 summers to Harvard Law School in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and learned project finance, learned negotiation, and then, like they say, went on to build this firm. Now we have 4 offices. We have shy of 400 lawyers and about 70 odd partners. And I'm the so-called face of the firm. I do very little work, but I get all the credit. So that's the good part. So that's my little story. But I did a few things on my way. I founded the first pure adventure travel company in 1979. I was in college those days. And it's called Ibex Expeditions. Today, I'm happy to tell you all, I told you first I'm a show-off. I'm happy to tell you all, National Geographic has declared it as the 100 top adventure travel companies of the world. Luthra & Luthra became the #1 law firm in the global league tables of deal logic in 2010. I don't mind saying it, Clifford Chance was #9. Which is a global firm at that time. And Stuart Popham, the managing partner, a very dear friend, every turn and twist or every area where they would be more than 5 years listening, 5 pairs of years listening, I would ask him his ranking. And he would say 9, then I'd ask him mine. And I can't say the words you would then use for me, but that's life. And then we've had a lovely run. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and built all newer areas of practice. And the way I've been doing it is I try and look into the future. I try and see where the practice of law is going. Now it's even developing quicker than it was in the 90s. Now things are changing much, much faster. And because when India opened, all these were unheard of. M&A, PPAs, I call them perpetual pain, in what. But power purchase agreements, non-recourse financing, international trade, anti-dumping, these weren't heard of. So I didn't have much competition, as it were, to deal with. So that's how we built the firm, and then we got good souls, good people, and what else can I say?
Well, that's a phenomenal journey. And as I say, from bike to Bentley, that's not the easiest thing to achieve as a first generation lawyer. So there are few things which I picked up, and if you don't mind, if I can ask you a few things for benefit of everybody who's listening.
Please.
Yeah. So when you started your law firm, first thing, it was quite a brave thing to do. From your flourishing practice in tax, you came into, you started practicing law. But when you started your journey with that small office at Ashoka Estate, where still you have your office, which is much more bigger now, you haven't changed your address since then. Did you ever think that thought ever occurred to you that one day it will be one of the largest law firms? Was that the intention when you started, or it evolved over a period of time? And what was the trigger point?
So on a lighter point, I am the largest lawyer in the world in terms of size. And if you agree with me, then you're body shaming me. Now coming to the law firm, it was a day at a time. One, there was no such thing as even today, for me, numbers don't mean anything. For me, enjoyment, happiness, again, on a lighter note, I was interviewed in 93. There was a BBC program called India Matters. And this young lady walked into my office with all her equipment and all that and interviewed me. In those days, you didn't have these handheld cameras, etc. And she asked me many, many questions. And then one of the questions she asked me was, where are you going with this? What is your motto and this, that, all this fancy stuff. And I said, look, as far as she said, when do you think you've done your job? And she asked me a crisper question. I said, the day I have a smelly office, I would have done my job. So she just, how ladies, they do oh and ooey and all that. I said, look, ma'am, what does a smelly office mean? Let's analyze it. If I can make the environment such that you take 6 strokes less on the toothbrush because you're dying to get to work, because it's such a happy place, my job is done. Everything else will fall in place. Ethics, integrity, your turnaround times, your billing, all of these are good quality byproducts of happiness. If you're cribbing and you're pushed into work and you're saying, bloody hell, most of these things won't work. So I've always believed in a very simple way of managing things. Even though I've been in that field of balance sheets and profit and loss account, I rarely look at ours. I used to have a very simple method. In the old days, of course, all of you are very young here, we used to have these thermal faxes. Every week on a Saturday, I would look at the thermal fax bill. If the bill has gone up, means we are doing well. Simple things like that is the way I kept. And I kept it very simple. I'll give you another example. Lawyers, as you all know, or probably don't, are the most indisciplined set of humans with the biggest egos on this earth. So there's a hell of a challenge in disciplining them, getting the job to be done. Most lawyers at that time used to think it's below their dignity to go into a client's office. I was not used to that. And I would tell a lawyer that, you better go to this guy's office and get research. He should come to our office and stuff like that. So I used to make these monthly meetings, including with the office boys and girls and the lawyers, of course. And then, just do a 1 hour cup of tea and just exchange problems, etc., and solutions. And then set standards. And those standards, for example, one standard was that when you come back from court, before the day is done, you must send out a fax to tell the client that this is what happened today. This is the next date of hearing, and this is what we need from you further. And there was one fax machine in the whole office, which was managed by the reception. And this was a young lady called Sylvia Seguera. She's still there and bullies me all the time, but that's separate. And she would then look at her roster of the lawyers who went to court and which ones had not sent out their fax. And she would order hot chocolate fudge for the whole office the next day on this guy's or this girl's account, this person's account. And and it did two things. One is once the person found out that there's a hot chocolate fudge penalty, the office would enjoy it. Bonhomie would happen. Everybody would be happy, and that fax definitely went to the next time. So simple things like that. That's how the whole story began and got to. And numbers mean nothing for me. 1,000 lawyer firm, 5,000 lawyer firm, that's bullshit. We had also opened an office in London, in Lower Belgravia. We'd also had an office in New York, San Francisco, Boston, and a small little, WeWork, now what you know of WeWork type of office in New York. But I've shut all of them down. We had one in Dubai. I've shut them all down because, those countries that I named earlier have now become third world countries. India was, in terms of practice of law, India is really booming. So I focused on India. And now we have 4 offices: Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. And I'm happy to tell you, I told you I'm a show off, so I'll repeat again. 1,500 square feet to 65,000 square feet, same building.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So, no, of course, whatever you're saying, that's so true, and I'm witness of that. You are the one of very few lawyers whom I have seen enjoying the practice. And whenever you talk about your practice or law as such, I can see that brightness in your eyes. So definitely. In your talk, you mentioned about you went to Harvard Law School and you did various courses over there. So right now, those who are listening to you, they are generally young lawyers, and there are few who are trying to or who will be pursuing LLM in an international jurisdiction. So what do you think that courses which you did at Harvard Law School or international institutions, did that actually help you in your career, or it was just Indian knowledge and knowledge about Indian law? How that shaped your career? If that Harvard Law School courses, they were of any help in building up your career and making Luthra and Luthra what it is right now?
Well, apart from just pure hardcore clauses and laws, that was not. Sorry. I have a very inquisitive maid, or helper, shall we say. It was not so much about, for example, FCPA. Now, it was very useful to understand the whole concept of FCPA and facilitation fees and speed money, etc., and what the Americans thought. But what really did wonders was that every Wednesday we used to have a colloquia, and we had people like Bill Gates, Alan Dershowitz. We had Obama. We had people like that who'd come and talk to us, and many, many more celebrities, world. We had Berkshire Hathaway, what's his name? He came, and George Soros came. So, it was that experience was a different ballgame. 1. 2, the professors there particularly, and I'm sure it's in other universities too, they're like Hollywood actors. They keep you in rapt attention, and they keep on. In fact, my first professor, I'll quickly tell you this anecdote. So I go to Harvard Law School. I was the ripe old age of 33. And I'm sitting in class at 8:30 in the morning or 9 in the morning. And in walks in a young David Wilkins, Professor David Wilkins. So I stand up to say, "Good morning, sir," like you do in India. And everybody was sitting there having their Coca-Cola can and their hamburgers and their feet on the table. And nobody was standing. So I quickly sat down. So when David finished the lecture, he calls me. He says, "Why did you stand?" So I explained him, Shishya, Guru, how it works and how I was going to come and touch your feet. He says, "If you had come near me, I would have hit you. I thought you were attacking me." That's a different way of thinking. Though he's a very dear friend now, we are very, very close. I attend almost all I speak also at Harvard regularly. And those experiences, my second professor was getting to Yes, Roger Fisher. So I've had the lovely fortune of meeting and spending oodles of time. I don't know how they get the time, but they have immense time. We'd sit, Alan and me would sit sometimes 3 hours. And he, in fact, told me, he says, "Luth, you must come and teach at our negotiation program at Harvard Law School." I said, "Why me?" He says, "You're one of the few people in this world who has one real experience of how to negotiate when one party is not interested, i.e. Government of India. How do you negotiate documents when one party just doesn't care that it's signed or no? So what are the things you do? What are the techniques you use?" So of course, whiskey was one of them, but but also trying to thought seed on a serious note, to tell an IS officer, who's got, say, 10, 15 years under his belt at the present moment, at that time, to tell him that, look, when you have 20 years from now, when you have your grandchildren on your lap, what will you tell them? You did nothing? Think about it. Like the Noida toll bridge, some of you who've been there, that's it's the first pure non-recourse finance transaction done of India. First private toll road. If you go on the road, on that bridge, from the Delhi side, just when you hit the river, on the right, in the middle of the road, you have a granite plaque with Luthra and Luthra written on it.
Wow.
Tell me one bridge in the world that has a lawyer's name on it. So that's the way we went way beyond our call of duty. And we used to enjoy that because each one of us enjoyed what we did.
Now, it was Noida toll bridge that was listed on London stock market as well, isn't it?
We listed it. We not London stock market. We listed an AIM.
AIMS.
This is the first Indian to list an AIM.
Yeah.
We did a bond issue, and this was again, I'll put it lightly. So we had closed. The financing was going to be done by World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. I was in we are about 2 weeks away from the closure. Documents had been prepared, negotiated. We were on our finals, and I had gone to New York for some work, and I was sitting in a cab, and there was CNN. In the words of our former Prime Minister, and God bless his soul, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, "Today we have exploded 3 bombs." And they were the 3 bombs which made the sanctions. So all financing froze. Overnight, we made a new plan. We went and listed it. We got the money. We built the bridge, EPC, O&M, the whole 9 yards. And I'm very happy to tell you all, 2 months before schedule.
Wow. So before I hand it over to Kishan, I have got, since I'm a moderator, I can take that liberty of asking one more. What is your take right now? The British and Indian government, they are talking about liberalization of Indian market as part of their free trade agreement negotiations. What's, as Rajiv Luthra, as a lawyer, not Luthra and Luthra, managing partner of Luthra and Luthra, as a lawyer, what's your take? Whether Indian market should open up for foreign law firms?
I don't think we have a choice as a country. So I must caveat this a little bit. I happen to be the chair of JETCO.
Yep.
under GATS, appointed by Government of India. And this is many, many years ago. And Sir Tom Legg of Clifford Chance was the chair from the British side. We've had many, many meetings with the Law Society and, up and down and kept, all over the place. Our report is also public. It's there for you all to read. If you don't have it, I'll send it to Ajit. He can send it to you all. Only thing which we had said was at that time that we have to open, we are committed as a nation to open globalized services with a caveat that they'll be globalized for each country's condition input. Somehow or the other, we have not achieved closure there. And it's still going up and down, gets very close, then gets very far. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't open. I don't see any reason why. See, if I only look at, with my hat as the owner of the law, the principal owner of the law firm, of course I don't want competition. I want to be, totally dominant. But then if I look at my hat as a chairman of JETCO, there's so many stakeholders, the students, the younger lawyers, the upcoming, the clients. If all those people are going to gain, and India is committed to, under GATS, to open all our services and globalize them. Of course, that's also gone in the wind right now because of WTO, etc., etc. We won't go into that. But we must open. And it should be proper reciprocity. There should be proper, it's not half-cocked here, half-cocked there. We'll take some, we'll give some. All that should go, and let it be a free and free-flowing system all over the world, and everybody benefits. Yes, there's a challenge of something technical like rights of audience. I mean, the first challenge will be in Bathinda to have a gentleman from London, one of the Lincoln's Inns or something, to come and try and explain to the judges. You won't understand the language. So, and both ways. So they'll need 3 sets of interpreters. But those are some challenges. And then even the clients, say an Indian client, would he want somebody to fly down from London to argue in a Mufassil court in the boondocks? No way. Yes, maybe the highest Supreme Court. Yes, maybe arbitration. Arbitration anyway is happening even now. So I actually serve on the board of SIAC, and it's been actually quite a long time. And I founded LCIA in India, by the way. I was the first director. It used to be done out of my office for the first 6 months or a year, something like that. So, I've seen that whole story. I've seen how it works, and we have a lot to learn. And and we can teach also. So,
well, you should be teaching skills of networking and how you attract all these high-profile transactions. So I think we'll have one more session on skills of networking from Mr. Rajiv Luthra.
It's quickly answer. It's golf, tennis, squash, and sailing.
Okay. Okay. So my last one, and then Ravisha will take it over. Let's decide. It will be Kishan or Ravisha. We'll decide that. Last one. Since you know the future, you know where legal market is going, and there are so many who are listening to you today, what are 3 areas of practice which young lawyers should be concentrating on?
Well, I think it actually depends on your, people keep saying, follow your passion. Just step back a little bit. How do you figure out your passion? I mean, that drops into your lap, or you dream about it. So I've come up with a formula, right or wrong, that I take a piece of paper and I write, and I've been telling my nephew, Bleak's son, who just joined the profession. I said, you choose. And by the way, my son, let's put it that way, applied on our firm's website. And his name is Advait Krishan Luthra. He wrote Advait Krishan. He was interviewed by 2 sets of partners and was hired in the firm. And then was actually one of the partners, a lady, came to me and said, "Sir, this boy is brilliant. He's from San Diego, etc., and then from Jindal School. And he's really got a great mind and he writes very well, blah, 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 blah." मैं क्या उल्लू की पट्टी मेरा बेटा है. I know exactly what he's about. So the way I see it is, one is, again, what you enjoy, very important. Internet of Things, that's certainly the future. Climate change, certainly the future. You have no choice. Then there are some side ones, for example, class action suits. They're going to be a reality before you know it, even in India. This whole story of GDPR, privacy, public privacy, private privacy, all of these practice areas are brand new. Let's take an example. A driverless car, God forbid, hits you. Tell me, who do you sue? What do you do? What is your remedy? Any country writing any laws? Even drafting them? We are. We've got a team of 7 lawyers, and that's our investment and give back to society. All on what is public data, what is private data, how do you handle it? We are doing climate change, ESG. So those are big areas that are going to grow. And of course, this whole business on corruption. So it again depends which way you want to do. We have IBC, we have the bankruptcy code. That's another big area that's growing, but not for long. I mean, in a few years, it'll be cookie cutter. Once the cases have been decided, you can have one odd case which is different. Otherwise, it'll just be stamped and go. But right now, it's a massive area of practice. We did the first large transaction, which is the ArcelorMittal acquiring SR Steel. We were for Arcelor. And it was an amazing experience going through. Actually, it was like cutting the forest. But it was a lot of fun going through that and getting it going. I'll give you one example there. God bless his soul, Mr. Jaitley. Luckily, one had access. So there's a clause which, I don't want to bore everybody else, they may not know Indian law, but there's a clause which talks of disqualification. And in that it says that if your relatives, and they've defined relatives, also are defaulters, then you are disqualified. Now, if my wife and me are not separated, for example, and she wants to fix me, all she has to go and take a loan and default. I'm disqualified. My brother, I fought with my brother, he wants to fix me. So how can you, so I went to Mr. Jaitley. I said, "Sir, ye kya law hai? Which jurisdiction in the world can you penalize me where I have no control? And how are you assuming that my relatives will be, not my foes?" The law was changed. So, so that's why these are very interesting times. It's had a great experience in a lot of these areas. And those are the areas I think youngsters should focus on. And I'll give you another example. God forbid you have a serious case of diabetes. They'll put a little instrument on your to your stomach, which is then connected to a Wi-Fi, and your doctor can see your parameters anywhere in the world through an app. I hack into the app. And I say, instead of 2 mg, make it 200 mg. You pass. Perfect murder.
Yep.
Anybody thinking about it? So first thinking, then the law, and then, you get my point.
Yeah. Definitely. So that's very helpful. Krishan, I'll pass it on to you. and other committee members also. Let's take the benefit of Mr. Rajiv Luthra over here, and also Mr. Luthra, since this is our anniversary celebration, we have got few bright alumni who have done exceptionally well last year. So we would like you to, Ravisha will announce, and if you can say some words to motivate them and encourage them. So Krishan, to you.
Thank you, Ajit, and thank you for touching each and every question. And I'm sure that the journey which we have started 2 years back and many other speakers in the past has motivated our alumni. And because of all those motivational talks and interaction with past legal scholars, our alumni members are doing wonderful things. And I assure Mr. Luthra from this platform that your story is a motivation for many of us and many of other participants who are attending. And taking motivation from your story, we'll have other awardees in the next year, for which we'll invite you again. Not taking much time, I am handing over to Ravisha. In the meantime, I should mention that we have many questions coming up for Mr. Luthra. We'll take them again. Before that, let us give a break and have some motivational word and appreciation from Mr. Luthra for all the winners. I hand over it to Ravisha for announcing the winner's name, please.
Thank you so much, Krishan, and thank you, Mr. Luthra. It's been very enlightening. I'll just quickly announce the awardees. So we have two categories of awards. One is for the achievers and the second is for rising stars. So in the first one, the first awardee is Ms. Shireen Moti. She's from the LLM batch of 2017. She's a legal academic, author, and a Chevening scholar. She has been working in the area of international human rights law with a focus on access to justice and legal aid for the past 11 years. Recently, she was awarded the Women of the Future 50 Rising Stars in Environmental, Social, and Governance by Women of the Future United Kingdom. So she's currently working as an assistant professor of law at O.P. Jindal University. Shireen, if you're there, I'd like to invite you to say a few words, please.
Yes.
Maybe the tech can open her video and unmute her.
Yes, please.
Is she there?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Good evening to all of you. Good evening
Hi,
to all
hi,
of you.
Shireen. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Firstly, congratulations to all of you to get Mr. Rajiv Luthra sir on board for this very, very inspiring talk. I knew a lot about sir, but the first-hand delivery of his lifetime experiences is something that is hugely motivating. And firstly, sir, you are blessed with a great voice. So it's just not talent, it is the voice also that gets you the clients.
Never thought of that. I thought it was well, Shireen, congratulations. And you can give my best wishes to your uncle, Damodar Das Modi.
Well, I mean, when I happen to meet him, I will surely do that. So, so firstly, thank you so much for delivering such an authoritative lecture. We at QMUL are quite privileged to hear you speak about your experiences firsthand. I'm a proud alumnus of Queen Mary University of London, and I thank the community here for recognizing my efforts on access to justice. Though my core work is on constitutional law and theory, and I do that as a legal academic day in and day out. But what really is the core of my my work is access to justice, increasing access for millions of Indians when it comes to their day-to-day delivery of legal services. So thank you for that, and I will keep it short. And thank you, sir, for gracing us with your presence.
No, heartiest congratulations. I'm sure it's well deserved. But I have a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
Since you believe in access to justice, what do you think of contingency fees? Success fees.
Yes, sir. So I feel that That's something that is, of course, very subjective to the legal practice itself. If a lawyer is able to serve clients based on contingency fee and it helps the lawyer get motivated and get the best outcome for that client, so be it. But I think we are fighting at a battle which is at a much larger level, where people do not have access to courts to begin with. What I do is that I work with rural communities. So it is not such a nuanced sort of intervention that I make. But I feel that legal practice in India is a complex web, and to suggest anything would be full of challenges. And I would actually say that apart from the contingency fee aspect, what we need to strengthen in India is the legal pro bono practice. So if every senior lawyer starts taking up pro bono cases, every big firm starts taking pro bono work seriously and rewards its attorneys to work on pro bono cases, then I think we are looking at a changed India. Contingency fee can be one aspect of it, but not the solution.
Now we know why she deserves this award. I actually attacked her. She attacked me right back. Well done. Our firm does a lot of pro bono work, by the way.
I know, sir. I know, sir. So, but so
you
you are one of the better firms. But I am saying, sir, that there's a lot to be done, and contingency fee can be one of the challenges, sir. That's what I'm saying. That's one of the nuance.
Delhi, Shireen, since you're in Delhi, and so am I, we have 4 or 5 dedicated youngsters in the firm, where access to justice is a big story for us. And we are building, and we are trying to do an idiot's guide. See, one is building a lot of law, courtrooms, etc. What else can we do without having all that? And we can sit, or we can exchange numbers, and we can maybe have a coffee one day. And I'll tell you at least 17, 18 different simple ideas, where luckily I have the ear of the law minister as well. So baat karte hain, and we'll take your view as well.
Thank you, sir. This is the kind of energy we need for pro bono work to excel in India. And I would be honored to have that coffee with you. Thank you, sir.
Lovely.
Congratulations, Shireen.
Thank you so much, Ajit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shireen.
Thank you, Ravisha.
So I'll just move on to the next one. Thanks. So our next achiever is Mudit Razada. He's currently working as an in-house counsel with Dabur India. His work mainly involves IP practice, from what I understand. He's had Z and Dabur been declared as the well-known trademarks. And he's also been a key strategist for one of the landmark judgments, that is Dabur India versus Ashok Kumar. And he's a key member of the in-house IP team responsible for acquisition of Badshah Masala by Dabur India Limited. Mudit, I hand it over to you, please, to say a few words. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee members, and it's an honor to receive this recognition in front of Mr. Rajiv Luthra. We've been working very closely with this firm because, as everyone knows, that Dabur is in midst of a honey war, as the media has been calling it. And we've been working very closely with this firm to find out disparagement cases and cases related to trademark infringement. I've considered myself more of a journeyman when it comes to being an in-house counsel, because I started off my career under the tutelage of Mr. Hemant Singh. And my first stint as an in-house lawyer was with Havells India Limited, an FMEG company. And from there, I moved on to Z Entertainment, where I turned into a media and entertainment lawyer. And now I've landed up with Dabur India Limited as an FMCG lawyer. So it's been quite a journey. And I would like to thank the committee members. It's an honor, again, to be receiving this recognition in front of Mr. Rajiv Luthra and my colleagues, if I may say so. Ojaswita is there, I see, and Zafar Khurshid. And especially, I'd like to thank my professors at Queen Mary, Dr. Guido Westcamp, and as in his own words, if I may say so, the most ultimate professor in Queen Mary's history, Dr. Noam Shentov.
Well, Mudit, congratulations. Well deserved. And some of the matters that you talk about, even I'm personally aware of them. And yes, we have worked with your company over 2 decades. And the family is well known to me. And some of you don't know that his company has totally made it all professional, from a pure family-run old Delhi company to a hardcore McKinsey style. And the transformation is in front of my eyes. Fantastic. Well done, Mr. Raizada, and heartiest congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir. It's an honor.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mudit.
Thank you.
So the next award that we have is for the Rising Stars. We have Mishra Thomas. She's from the LLM batch of 2019. During 2021-22, she's worked with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, as a senior research fellow to support the International Trade Negotiations wing. She's been providing legal consultancy in international trade negotiations. She's also contributed by drafting papers, analytical feedback based on extensive research, engaging in stakeholder consultations. Nimisha, I hand it over to you to just say a few words, and congratulations.
Thank you, Ravisha. Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm really sorry. I'm traveling, so the video is in low light. And thank you, CCLS India Alumni Committee members, that you could rope in Rajiv, sir. His talk was really very motivating. And it's an honor to receive this recognition. Very grateful to the CCLS India Alumni Chapter Committee for considering my work recognition worthy. And this would not have been possible without my academic exposure at QMUL. So thank you for bestowing upon me this award, my dear family. Have a wonderful evening.
Congratulations, my dear. Well deserved. One personal question.
Yes, sir.
Bully? Who was a bigger bully, Rajiv K or Sudhanshu?
Sir, no comments.
That's a trick question.
Controversial question.
You can confidentially text to Mr. Luthra.
No,
Yes.
They are friends of mine. I've done a lot of work. I even served today on the HLAC committee, and if I'm not wrong, Nimisha also helped us with some papers some time back. But heartiest congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Nimisha.
Thank you.
So we have 2 more people. There is Jeet Bhatt from the LLM batch of 2011. He's a practicing advocate at Gujarat High Court. We selected him for the Achievers Award, but I believe he's not here. And there's also Abhinav Kumar from the LLM batch of 2022. We selected him for the Rising Stars Award. However, I think he had to leave because he had a meeting, so he's left early. But I just wanted to announce that. And back to you, Krishan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravisha. And I'm sure that all the attendees who has attended, who are attending this session must be taking motivation from all the awardees, and we see more awards coming up in the next year. Keep inspiring us and keep inspiring the whole CCLS India chapter. We are looking forward for new achievements, new awards, novel work in the coming year. So, Mr. Luthra, we have so many questions coming up, and definitely they want to hear more about your story. As you have mentioned that you belong from a community which believes in show off, and people are still not happy to, they are happy to hear more about your show off stories. I have a question from Vikrant. Sorry. He's mentioning he knows about that Tony Landau interned at Luthra and Luthra at some point of time, and he's sure that there must be some story behind that and many more other stories. Would you like to please throw some light on such stories, please?
So this is Toby Landau, who's a KC, and he interned as a QC in my farm. I think first in the history of the world that a QC has interned, a silk has interned in a cotton's office, cotton's chamber. Even today, Toby calls me master. All his mails, he was with me 2 weeks ago in Delhi, SIAC conference. And even every mail of his addresses me at master, and then he either calls himself your slithering footstool, if I remember correctly, or your slave for life, or some words like that. So what had happened was that I was in Singapore, and there was an auction for legal aid. And there was these lawyers over there who had bought up. And there was the law minister, the deputy prime minister, and, many judges of the Supreme Court, High Court, all in the room in Singapore. So there was an auction to raise some money for legal aid. And there was somebody had given a mug, somebody had given a chota painting, and, they were getting $400, $300. So Toby happened to be standing there. And Toby is a really, really bright and an iconic human being in many, many ways, and a very dear friend. So I said, Toby, why don't we auction you? And we can auction, there's, all the managing partners of law firms are here. We can get decent money, if you can go and intern in an office. So he went up on stage, and here's the deputy prime minister. And, Singapore is not a very sort of liberal type. It is liberal, but not that liberal that I said to the auctioneer that before I bid, I want to see what wears. Tell him to take off his shirt. So, which he almost did, by the way, on stage. So, long story short, I won him. And of course, the QC, not being a lawyer who, he's an arguing counsel, he's a barrister or a Queen's counsel. So he didn't know what agreements are all about. So he signed in the paper as an intern for Luthra and Luthra. He didn't write the end date. So he remains my intern even today. But he's a delightful human being and an amazing, one of the sharpest lawyers I have met in my career.
Oh, he's one of the brightest one. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Luthra. So we have another question.
How much time Mr. Luthra has got? We are taking too much liberty.
No.
How much time you have?
During this, I have time. Don't
Okay, good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there is that whiskey of 83. I'll tell you the shop. You can send me 2 bottles. Yeah, please go on.
Done and dusted. Yep, sure.
So she didn't want to know actually, sir. What are your thoughts on impact of artificial intelligence on future of legal profession?
A jury is very much out on that, but this is going to be a reality before you know it. So there are a number of programs, just one second. There are a number of programs which are even working today, where for things like due diligence and, all the grunt work, artificial intelligence can work well. The challenge is when artificial intelligence decides cases. The challenge is when that goes to that level, the human nuance is very, very difficult to replicate. And as far as I'm concerned, the jury is out on that. I've not seen artificial intelligence to the level of being able to get that human nuance, which is very crucial for, getting the proper justice, if as it were. But filings, mundane grunt work, pulling out old databases, pulling out old judgments, all of that is going to become factual and will happen, is happening. Now, for example, I'll give you another example. Let's look at the beautiful use of it. We know let's say Supreme Court of India. We know every hearing, which is the lawyer who appeared before which judge. How long did the judge take and what was the verdict? And then what kind of, whether it's family law, criminal law. Now think about this with data like this. All we have to do is write an algorithm that will tell you which judge, and you can reasonably predict which judge who is comfortable with what kind of law. 1, 2, where you can get the judgment quickly, and then the shadier part, which lawyer gets you the positive judgments right through. So I'm just joking, but think about it, the power of this. Transparency. How many, we say there are so many crores of cases pending. Why can't we have a system where in the citadel of every high court, Supreme Court, there's a huge clock which says these are the so many thousand million cases pending, and this is what we cleared yesterday. Outside each courthouse, you do that. Your transparency will start happening straight away. But of course, we're not doing that. It's a good idea, Mr. Luthra, but do it after I retire, is what you hear. So I have many, many ideas like this, and which can actually solve a lot of our problems, but let's see.
It's a shame. It's a shame then that you were never considered, or if you were considered, you turned down elevation. I think that if we have, and I think especially in our current system, change is very individually driven.
Well, with our current chief, you're going to see some fun and games, my friend. That's
we know.
sure.
We are looking forward to it. That we are absolutely looking forward. But hopefully that change also trickles down. And certainly he's made some indications that he would like it to.
No, he's taken the bull by its horns, if I can call our law minister that. And he said, well, even though both are people well known to me personally, and they're both individually very good human beings, but Justice Chandrachud is Justice Chandrachud. He used to be a radio jockey in his younger days.
Did not know that.
Can you believe that? Our Chief Justice of India. And I, as a 17-year-old, used to play lots of rounds of golf with his father, the then Chief Justice of India, Justice Tarkunde, and I was not a lawyer, and Justice Manchanda. And there was one particular judge, I won't name him, who was a very senior judge in the Allahabad High Court. And I was the captain of the Delhi Golf Club team. We used to go and play in Allahabad, an annual tournament. And he was the captain of the Allahabad team as a judge. Many years, and I used to, and the tradition was the two captains would play what they call match play. Every hole counted, not strokes. And I would really, how do I put it mildly, shame him in front of his home crowd. So many years later, when I became a lawyer, I was standing in court 2 with this gentleman as a senior judge on the bench. Loudly, he says, "Ab aaya oont pahad ke niche. Haan, bata Luthre."
I think Ajit has a question before I take questions from the other attendees.
Thank you so much, Christian. First of all, Rajiv sir, I have to say I am so starstruck. I do follow you on LinkedIn. We're connected there, and I have followed your journey. It is so good to have you here and to listen to everything that you have shared with us. Though I am a general counsel, I work in-house, so we have a very different career path. But then when you shared your background history, I think we do have some more things in common. I'm also a first-generation lawyer. My father was also in the Air Force. I also went to 9 different schools in 10 different cities. So very good to hear all those things. I actually want to ask you something, taking up from the point that Ajit had asked earlier about opening up of the Indian market. And I really appreciate the honest reply that you gave in terms of, that you are in favor of it and it makes more sense and we don't really have a choice. But then as an individual law firm owner, you would not, obviously, it's difficult to face that kind of competition. What I want to then delve on and ask your opinion on is, what is stopping Indian law firms from really going out there and competing at the global scale? Luthra and Luthra is an exception. Like you said, 2010, you were globally ranked and everything. But in the current scenario, a lot of people would think about resisting and opening up of the market because it is difficult to compete. But what is stopping Indian law firms from actually investing in themselves and really competing at the global stage?
Or maybe I will rephrase it, when Mr. Luthra is going to acquire a law firm overseas.
See, if you look at law firms, the history of law firms in India, pre-1990 and post-1990. Pre-1990, the largest IPO used to be about 4 or 5 crores. Which were the law firms? J.B. Darachand and Company, Crawford Bailey, Little and Company was one of the better known ones, and we jealous Punjabis used to call it small, just that. And what else? There was Bhakta and Company. There was
Kanga and Company, yes.
Kanga, sorry, I meant Bhakta's Kanga and Company.
Yeah.
That was it. Maybe 1 or 2 more. It was after 1990, and there was Amachand, of course, the jewelry store, I lightly call them, though in front of them, they're dear friends of mine, and they were there too, yes, Amachand, Mangaldas. But more than that, where? So where is that? It's, we are still just crossing our teens. So in terms of investments, in terms of putting out, though law firms are not doing badly in India. There is fair amount, 1. 2, for us to go and practice UK law, or for us to go and practice American, it's a bit of a challenge. So we could do the Verizon method, we could become a Baker or a Denton's or something. Those are all possibilities. But as I've been approached on a number of occasions by a number of large law firms, and in fact, since I am a Punjabi, I said earlier, and I keep repeating that for some reason, I was invited to a very large law firm's worldwide partnership meet. And at that meet, at a dinner, they were introducing me to all the partners. And that said, we are very keen that Luthra and Luthra become XYZ of India. And in my closing remarks, I said, actually, you should be Luthra and Luthra of the world. So, because it wasn't allowed, I said, look, I'm a lawyer. I'm a officer of the court. I can't do indirectly what I can't do directly. 1. 2, I have to follow the letter and the spirit. So that's the reason why I have resisted even from best friends. I have good friends. I have many, many law firms we work with around the world. But no best friends, no exclusive, nothing, because our law doesn't permit it, right or wrong. Jab tak change nahi hoga, tab tak usko thodi we want to dance with it. So law firms will go. I mean, some have opened. There are a few smatterings in Dubai. We opened. But I found it was just I mean, how do I put it? I'm a real freak in terms of quality control. So it was becoming a huge challenge, keep on traveling all the bloody time. So those are one challenge. The second is to get good talent there. And so, if I'd got an American qualified lawyer, I wouldn't know how to handle the person. मुझे खुद नहीं law था American. तो उसको मैं क्या उसकी assessment करूँगा या क्या करूँगा? Those are the challenges. But it'll happen. It's a matter of time. These mergers will happen. Things will open. Which, if I may ask, where are you a general counsel, ma'am?
So I am please call me Ojaswata. I am a general counsel at Securitas. There's a Swedish company,
Yes,
and
yes,
I
yes.
head the legal function for Africa, Middle East, APAC. I do have some initial first 3 years of my practice was in litigation, so I do have some exposure to courts to begin with. But to come back to your point, in that case, the approach that the Indian legal system takes, that law is a profession and not really a business or a sector, is really affecting how much the legal sector can actually contribute to India's GDP. Because we have the second highest number of lawyers, but our legal system or the legal industry, if I may call it so, is not really at par or making as much money as much fewer number of lawyers are making in the West.
You're absolutely right. But let's now peel the onion. Let's look at our education system. Let's look at the institutions we have. There are a lot of our registered law colleges. You can't find them love or money.
Yeah.
Ek kamra hai. I'm not kidding. The one room and a wall, and that's a law college. So that's where you're getting a bulk of your lawyers from those kinds of institutions. Now there are the national law schools where the students from there call themselves, you say, where are you from? He said, the school. Jaise pata nahi aur koi school hi nahi hai. But now, I'll tell you very lightly, so that may answer your question to some extent.
Yeah.
There's a particular school in South India. And if you literally translate the address, the school is located in the pit of snakes. Nagar Bhavi, National Law School, Bangalore. Nagar ki Bhavi, Nagar ka garden Nag ka. Anyway,
wow.
We've had a lot of the alumni of National Law School, Bangalore is in our firm. Very good, excellent. Problem was in the initial stages when it was the school only, when Dr. Madhav Menon, by the way, is my mentor. At that time, it was, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
It was this way or the highway.
Yeah.
And we took a few people in the 92, 93, 94 batch, not very happy with their outcome, me personally, our firm. And our rule was we took original people we didn't take lateral hires. Till 2006, we'd never taken a lateral hire in our firm.
Wow.
Always I used to go to the campus, do the interviews myself or my partners, and we'd bring them. So Madhav Menon got on my tail. Then Gopal Mohan came and said, Luth, why don't you take people from our college? So I told them, look, I've not had a good experience. She said, anyway, come and speak. So quickly, I'll tell you. So I started my speech by saying, when I wanted to go for learning pleading, you ladies and gentlemen have removed the P. You don't want to be pleaders, you want to be leaders. When I wanted to do learning, you've taken the L out. You only want earning. The first question you ask me is when I do the Q&A, the group discussion, when do I get my promotion? What is my bonus? What is my variable? See, from there, and how many are there? Now you look at the number of all your national law schools put together. What are we talking about? 1,000 children or youngsters? What is 1,000? So that is the problem. Where is the material to build that, all this M&A, and look at the risk. And remember, we practice unlimited liability.
Yeah.
So all of these are, when you put them all together, and why should, if we become a business, then it becomes like some of the other countries. We've lost ethics. We've lost integrity. We've lost all the main pillars of practice of law. Noble profession. Abhi to noble profession, if you say, people laugh.
Exactly.
But we are that. You know that pouch in the back of your gown? That means something.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Mr. Luthra, you remember we have few achievers as well, and one of the achiever was traveling. He just landed and he texted me that he wants your blessing. So Jeet Bhatt, Kishan, can you add Jeet Bhatt? He just landed. He was traveling somewhere, so he said that he needs your blessing. And I said, of course, we have got that opportunity.
Ajit, I think he lost the connection again.
He lost the connection. So anyway, what we can do about it? So you can say congratulations to him. Jeet Bhatt is the name. He's rising star.
Jeet, heartiest congratulations, my friend. And if you're near about Delhi sometime, please give me a shout. I'd love to meet you and give you a big hug.
Well, congratulations, Jeet. Now,
thank you, Ajit.
Yeah, over to Zafar.
Right. Well, I have the unenviable and I feel unfair position of having the last word, which I think today, certainly on most days, but certainly today should belong only to our esteemed speaker. Thank you, sir, for being with us here today. Thank you for helping us mark the 2nd anniversary of the CCLS India Alumni Chapter. It has been a journey for us over the last 2 years, growing our membership and slowly growing not just in terms of chapter, but in terms of sub-chapters. I'd like to thank Mr. Luthra for his time. I'd like to thank my fellow committee members for all the hard work that you put into it. Krishan, Ojaswita, Ajit, Ravisha, who is just logged off. Thank you for giving, and the 3 of you especially, I think, thank you for keeping the rest of us on task when we maybe don't contribute as much as we can as committee members. But it's really a point of pride for me to be able to thank all of you. And of course, Professor Georgios Soulos, who gave the welcome address as well. And of course, the participants for whom we continue to try to have these events. And certainly, I think in 2023, we would like Mr. Luthra to come and possibly inaugurate one of our first physical events. And certainly, I think the 3rd anniversary, the 3rd birthday, 3 you're certainly old enough to have a physical party, I think. So, sir, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for regaling us with some truly, yes, an inspiring story, but also more. And I think what is the hallmark of hearing you speak is not just inspiring, but extremely entertaining stories. And I think that all of us can agree this is one of our most wonderful, has been one of our most wonderful events. And we will truly treasure this evening. And yes, I think a round of applause for Mr. Luthra and for everyone else. And congratulations again to all of our achievers and rising stars. On behalf of the CCLS, thank you all of you for attending. And as I said, I would be doing a great injustice if Mr. Luthra, I didn't ask you to have the last word.
Your wish, sir, is my command. So Ajit was talking about the India-UK trade. I happen to serve on the advisory board of the City of London. And Prime Minister Modi had come down and we had launched the green bonds, the masala bonds. Hadn't done very well. So in one of our meetings in Guildhall, there was a discussion going on, how do we improve it? So me being the joker that I am, I said, and me being the simple chap that I am, I said, a lot of people don't understand masala bond. Rename it chicken tikka masala, and you believe me, it'll work well. Thank you very much. This has been an honor. And I hope I've added some value, if not much, but I've really enjoyed it. And you're a wonderful bunch of people. And Ajit is one of the bigger bullies you'll meet. I promise you that. God bless.
Thank you so much for the compliment. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. Thank you.